Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here, and it's time for another reaction request. If you have a video that you'd like me to react to, check the description below. There's a link that'll take you to a Google document with all the relevant information. So today we're doing another Josh Scorcher video, another top 10 from him, and this time it is top 10 theater villain songs. And yeah, this should be fun. I just realized I didn't play through that. I usually do that in advance, but we'll take care of that in a second. Yeah, I think I did look previously. I reacted to some villain song reactions. This one, I mean, it says I watched this, so I assume I reacted to that one. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so yeah, we've kind of been over this territory a little bit before, but this is specifically theater villain songs, which is something I'm a little bit less familiar with. I mean, I enjoy musicals, but I haven't really seen a lot of musical theater. If it's become a musical film, there's a greater chance that I'm familiar with it, but if it's exclusively a theater thing, then chances are much better that I haven't. So I'm going into this not expecting to know a whole lot, but I'm eager to hear what he's chosen. Maybe I'll hear some music that sounds pretty good. Let's get started, though.
The best of times. It was the worst of
times. Sad, sorry again.
I return to my...
Let's go ahead and get this going. Here we go.
I return to my first love, the legitimate theater.
Who's bad?
Villain Songs Month.
The theater, birthplace of oh so many musicals. As a medium that's existed for thousands of years, we've had absolutely no shortage of candidates to choose from. There are hundreds of villain songs in theater, covering the spectrum from affable to terrifying. As before, the same rules apply. How well does it show off the villain? How well does it explain the motive? So on and so forth. But we have to look at Broadway a little differently than other visual media. While TV and movies can get up close to capture the nuances of a performance, in theater the performers have to overdo it in order for everyone in the theater to enjoy the spectacle. Therefore,
that's a good point.
Sometimes the songs can come off a little hammy, but it's all part of the technique and craft. So be nice, people.
It's a real shame because there's a lot of really great shows with a lot of really great villain songs. And we can't go see them right now because of all the...
Oh. This was during all that?
Guys, the NFL's different. QBs and centers, they're closer. That's why Old Spice, Total Body Deodorant.
The curtains rise, let the show begin! So, where do we begin? Oh.
Some people may know this play from the fantastic, in heavy sarcastic quotes, movie starring Gerard Butler. The Phantom of the Opera was a novel written in 1910, adapted into several movies, including one also based on Faust starring Paul Williams, and finally that's a stage musical by Sir
that's a pretty good movie too.
Weber, which premiered in 1986. Today, it is considered one of the most popular musicals of all time, and one of the longest-running shows as well. The story stars Christine, a young and up-and-coming singer who dreams of stardom. She meets a man known by legend as the Phantom of the Opera, who she confuses as an angel of music. The Phantom teaches her how to sing well better, and in turn, let's say the Phantom is a little possessive. Throughout the play, the Phantom tries to get Christine to be with him instead of her childhood friend and current love, Raoul. After multiple failed attempts to win Fair Lady's heart, the Phantom coerces Christine and the theater to perform an opera of his own creation, or else people will die. Raoul decides the play is an opportunity to capture the Phantom, and is nearly successful. But the Phantom still has one more trick up his sleeve. Since Christine plays the main role, the Phantom kills the actor who is playing her romantic interest and sneaks in as his replacement. And the song, Past the Point of No Return, starts playing.
Don't think I remember this song from the film. With Phantom of the Opera, I mostly just remember the main song. Yeah.
The Phantom
Definitely some
begins singing to Christine. And the
manipulation
lyrics he
going on
wrote.
here.
The point of the in-universe musical, Don Juan Triumphant, is for both characters to debate whether to go through with an affair with each other. The other meaning is the Phantom's goal to win Christine's heart. Christine is aware of the double entendre instantly, but is forced to continue on. Believing that his plans are foolproof, the Phantom punctuates his opus by using the same words Raul and Christine said to each other when they declared their love earlier in the story. And
There's that,
fails. The Phantom kidnaps Christine and runs in despair as the audience yells in fear and scorn. Eventually, the play ends with the Phantom disappearing and Raul and Christine staying together. He pulls out all the stops from killing the main lead to writing lyrics that force Christine to say she bends to his will. The Phantom was so sure his plan would work because he thought Christine was still under his spell, but she wasn't. And by flinging off his mask, she broke the spell of the Phantom for good. The song is lower because it ends with the Phantom losing his chance and his plans falling apart and the uncomfortable innuendos that are sprinkled here and there. But between the beautiful vocals and intense passion being shown, it was hard.
You kind of expect that was like a Broadway performance.
Okay, I understand that last one was a little bit uncomfortable, but maybe this next one will be a little less intense.
Probably not.
Before Hamilton was the go-to history musical, there was 1776, a fun, charming, emotional musical about the conception and signing of the Declaration of Independence. One of the biggest obstacles along the way? A stubborn little prat named Edward Rutledge. Mr. Rutledge is objecting to a clause condemning the slave trade, but rather than reach a compromise, Rutledge hits where it hurts the most. Mr. Adams' integrity. He belts out a savage, haunting, mocking song calling out the Northerners for their part in the triangle trade. Yeah, they aren't slave keepers themselves, but they still profit from the trade. And by Rutledge's logic, the North is just as guilty as the South, and all Adams, Franklin, Jefferson, and anyone else can do is just sit silently and let Rutledge rip into their very moral fiber. Because he has a point, sick as it is. The last set of lyrics in the song really sum it up.
Mr. Adams, I give you a toast. Hail Boston! Hail Charleston! Who stinketh the most?
Stinketh. It's a great word to get in there.
He's basically saying both sides are one and the same. So get off your high horse, Mr. Adams. You profit from these evil deeds too. Now, the overly nitpicky and logical part of my brain is calling out this red herring fallacy for what it is. But then I remember that guilt is a powerful motivator and overrides logic.
No, it isn't.
Very much
it's
so.
horrible. It eats away at you until you just have to confess what you did.
Sadly, that guilt hits poor Adams hard, as his whole worldview is thrown into a loop. His intentions were good, but it's hard to argue with dirty politics and a bombastic song that's basically, no, you did it. So, for the sake of the colony's independence, he reluctantly has to agree to Rutledge's terms or risk losing the vote to free them from England's clutches in totality.
There it is, Rutledge. You have your slavery. Little good may it do you. Now vote, damn you.
It's hard to ignore a song this powerful. The mocking lyrics, the tense music, and the climactic moment where Rutledge reenacts a slave auction really hammers the tension home. Yeah, the subject matter is really uncomfortable, but unfortunately, it's a part of history. And as they say, those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. Just ask Disney.
Okay, well that's nice. Well, you didn't really play much of that song, so I don't really know. Maybe it's heavily copyrighted or something. I don't even know what it sounds like.
For those unfortunate enough to have never grown up with The Wiz, it's essentially a retelling of The Wizard of Oz, but with an
I don't think I've ever actually seen it.
It's lively, it's weird, it's kind of dark.
I know about it.
It's Wizard of Oz, and we love the
watched
heck
a
out
review
of
of
it
it or something one
breathing
time.
new life into a story as old as time. Heck, just look at what they did with the Wicked Witch of the West, or Eveline in this case. Whereas the original tourmaline-skinned tyrant is evil, driven, and has her head in order, Eveline is an unhinged sweatshop owner bordering on the brink of insanity. Guess it's true what the Joker says. All it takes is one bad day. That's pretty much Eveline in a nutshell. Physically incapable of accepting bad news. So, pretty much half the internet. Funny tangent, but
yeah.
The character acts more like the Queen of Hearts. Actually, given the outfit, more like the Queen of Spades. Unless we're watching the movie with MJ, then it's the Queen of Diamonds. Basically, if you tell her something that she doesn't want to hear, it'll be bad news for you. Of course, what better way to express her disdain for bad news than in song? Thus, she busts out a jumping gospel number, and all her workers join in and sing and dance along. And I'm not gonna lie, even if they're being forced to, it still looks like a fun song to dance to. The lyrics are catchy and show us how little chill Eveline has.
If we're gonna be buddies, you better bone up on the rules, 'cause don't nobody bring me no bad news.
The music itself is bouncy.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Skipping a beat.
Just from that little
bit.
bit.
That these poor workers are being forced into hard labor, or that their boss is a whack job with a toxic mindset. Seriously, she full-on tortures and dismembers Dorothy's friends and almost sticks Toto in a furnace. It's just funny how unnaturally perky this song is, coming from arguably the scariest woman in Oz, and that's the gospel truth. Good ol' Annie, the heartwarming musical based on the Little Orphan Annie comic strips. It may seem weird putting this one on here since most of the songs are so fluffy and upbeat, with one hilariously
I've seen
exception.
An
Little
Annie
girls,
film.
little girls, everywhere I turn I can
I'm not sure though. I might not have. I'm aware of some of the songs though,
Disturbing
obviously.
little solo by the orphanage's bitter matron, Miss Hannigan. She tolerates her job as it allows her to buy and consume her booze on the clock, but she hates children and has no qualms singing a drunken, twisted lament about her situation. She tries to make us feel sorry for her like she's some kind of tortured single parent, and then she sings stuff like this.
If I wring a little next, surely I would get an acquittal.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, why is she in this occupation? I'm half serious there. What possessed her to take this job if she's this miserable? Well, the most logical answer?
Someday I'll land in a nut house with all the nuts and the squirrels.
She's a nut job, or she needed a job during the Great Depression. Or maybe she's just a power-tripping sociopathic lush who exercises power fantasies over helpless children. I don't think there's really a wrong answer here,
all pretty possible.
Fun to speculate. The only thing is, all of these answers make her a villain, so they're all the wrong answers. And that makes this song really funny. It's such a drastic juxtaposition from the other optimistic, level-headed numbers as we watch this miserable old bat stew in her own misery. And it's kind of brilliant. But which version do I prefer? Kinda hard to say because each actress brings something new to the role. The 82 movie has Carol Burnett really hamming it up with a drunken mental breakdown, and the 99 movie has Kathy Bates showing her inner Annie Wilkes.
Wow.
Annie
That's some
Wilkes
good casting for both of those.
Annie.
Carol Burnett.
Did they cast her just to make that joke?
No, she's
And
probably
Jane
good.
Lynch from the Broadway revival has her snarky
Another
charm
good
that
choice.
just works here. And Cameron Diaz? Yeah,
Oh,
this
okay.
one makes the black sheep of the bunch, no pun intended, but here's the thing. Cameron's experienced with roles where she's an atrocious scumbag. Biggest example being Bad Teacher, aka Everything Wrong with Humanity. So her playing a crazed, abusive matron figure isn't that much of a stretch. As long as you don't mind the constant, oh look at us, we're so meta, we poke fun at being a musical jokes. No matter the singer, Little Girl still stands out as a surprisingly dark tune in a famously optimistic musical. And kind of a warning of what happens when we make poor career choices.
You know how life as we know it just kind of went to hell after 2019? I think we're being punished. For Cats.
Did you know that Cats was originally
good theory.
going to be adapted into an animated movie? So you might be wondering, why didn't Universal try and reboot this version?
Yeah, that would have been better.
Oscar, but it probably wouldn't have gotten the Razzie either. At least the original is still great, so let's talk about that. Now, the plot of Cats is, on the surface, it's pretty much just a basic setup to make way for the gloriously over-the-top songs and dances. After all, it was based off of a children's poem book, so there wasn't really much of a tight storyline to work with.
Children's poem book by T.S. Eliot.
Analyze a little deeper, each character represents an aspect of society. Victoria, the white cat, is youth and beauty. Grisabella is how we treat people who are quote-unquote past their prime and no longer beautiful. Jenny Anydots is the rare good Karen. Bustopher Jones represents gluttony and rich overindulgence, and Rum Tum Tugger is the charming bad boy. And then there's Macavity. The villain of Cats, Macavity, has surprisingly little relevance to the overall storyline, what little there is. Seriously, he comes in to kidnap old Deuteronomy, is defeated almost immediately, and then just kind of screws off. He doesn't even sing his own villain song. Of course, we're not here to talk about how deep of a character Macavity is. We're here to talk about his villain song, also called Macavity. The aptly named song is dedicated to telling the other characters about his evil deeds and what he's capable of. Yeah, it's pretty much one massive violation of the show don't tell rule, but it's done in such a fun way. Much like You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, Macavity shines with how well it paints a picture of the villain.
Again, I've never actually watched Cats. I think I tried watching the movie version just to see if it had, like, so bad it's good value, but I couldn't get through it.
His powers of levitation would make a fakey stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not there.
I mean, this does sound good, though, the
The other
song.
ladies have a haunting way of describing the impossibility that is this feline. They are in utter awe of his evil prowess. Heck, sometimes they almost seem a little hot and bothered by his feats. But it also serves as a warning against the deviant. Even other petty criminals like Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer are just his pawns.
Are nothing more than agents for the cat who all the time just controls the operations. The Napoleon of crime!
Despite Macavity himself getting next to nothing in terms of screen
Is
time,
there a
though
Napoleon
it
in
gets
the
pretty intimidating,
Cats universe?
his
Like, I don't even
villain
know.
song has more than earned a place here. As for the 2019 adaptation, well, Taylor Swift tried, but this movie is beyond saving. Okay, seriously, who is responsible for approving these designs? For fuck's sake, there's a random cat character in Ready Player One that looks infinitely better.
It's almost like the director cared less about making a good movie
an interesting
and more
design.
showing off a lot of celebrities. I am not apologizing for I have said nothing wrong.
We can't save you from being tagged in a fail video. But
In Into the Woods, originally released in 1986, can be credited for bringing
Another
the fairy tale
that I'm not that
crossover
familiar
genre
with.
into the mainstream. It paved the way for Shrek, Once Upon a Time,
I've heard of it.
and that which must not be named. Like many fairy tales, Into the Woods features a witch. And since it's a crossover, the witch has her fingers in every single storyline because each one needs a villain. Said witch gave us two standout villain songs to choose from, Stay With Me and The Last Midnight. Picking between these two was tough, as both of these songs are absolute gems. Stay With Me explores the witch's relationship with Rapunzel, a Stockholm Syndrome victim pulling away while the kidnapper desperately tries to maintain control, while The Last Midnight is pretty much a reason you suck speech in song form. Now, while I personally think that Last Midnight is a better song in and of itself, and Ari, who has played the part of the witch twice before, agrees, Stay With Me is the better villain song. For context, this song plays after Rapunzel meets her prince. The witch caught wind of that and wants absolutely none of it. So, in classic abuser fashion, she puts all the blame and guilt onto Rapunzel while making herself look like the victim.
You are ashamed of me. No, you are ashamed.
I'm sure many of you have already picked up on this already, but yeah, it's a precursor to Mother Knows Best from Tangled.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, actually.
Donna Murphy played the witch in the 2012 production. That's just perfect casting. This song is easily one of the darkest villain songs on the list. It does not shy away with showing you the grim reality that far too many people face.
Mother Knows Best is a great villain song.
It's this dark combination of being genuinely sweet but manipulative that makes this work. She so easily fools Rapunzel into thinking that she will be hopeless without her, useless without her, and in reality, she ends up being right. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. The witch's emotional isolation and mental abuse breaks Rapunzel, even after she's freed from the tower and finds her prince. Eventually, the witch's abuse drives her to suicide by giant. I'll never understand why that part was left out of the movie, yet the sexual undertones of the big bad wolf were made somehow even more blatant. So, plot-relevant character death is a no-no, but ridiculously unsubtle predator allegories are A-okay. Glad to see Hollywood has its priorities straight. Oops.
Censorship.
Remember this little gem from VeggieTales, Oh No, What We Gonna Do? It's a silly tune sung
Never
by
watched
the Wise Men
VeggieTales.
as they scheme to get rid of Daniel in their own retelling of Daniel in the Lion's Den. Why do I bring this up? Well, imagine a more deliciously devious version of this song with a slimy, menacing rhythm and malicious lyrics. Throw in a Broadway budget and world-class actors, and you've got this conniving little number from the musical adaptation of the classic French novel, Count of Monte Cristo.
Okay.
For context, Edmond Dantes,
I'm familiar with the story. I don't think I've seen a
is
musical
young,
version of it,
naive,
though.
but virtuous and a morally upright man. Which, of course, means he's the perfect target for three entitled creeps. Mondego, Danglars, and Villefort all have something to gain from getting rid of Dantes.
Oh wait, no, the musical
Mondego wants
version,
his
I looked at
fiancée,
some
Danglars wants his success, and
some
Villefort
videos.
wants to preserve his own
way back. I
reputation
reacted
by
to
getting
some like,
Dantes out of
pony
the way.
versions of it.
Recognizing the
I
common
think.
foe, they join together for this haunting musical number
Like
as
forever
they
ago.
plan to ruin an innocent
So I think I know this
man's
song.
life. And it is delightful.
We must all pretend our naive friend was caught in his own lies.
Yeah, this
And to succeed.
this takes me back.
And Madame stays and ends his days inside the Chateau d'If.
Oh, but that's not the worst part, oh no. They actually take the time to justify their dastardly collab. So wrapped up in their own self-gratification that they think they're doing everyone a favor. If they can tell a good enough story, no one will care about Dantes. After all, a great storyteller can make themselves look like a hero whether they're being truthful or not. History is written by the winners, isn't it? And nowadays, the ones who control the narrative control what people perceive to be the truth. These guys take this philosophy and run with it. They're not in this scheme to play nice. They're in it to survive.
Part of me wishes Tontus didn't have to languish, but I can see it's him or me. Let him sit there and rot till he's forgot. Let him roll!
Yeah, this is a great one.
The fact that they work in that fake sympathy line really cements how despicable these three really are. This whole scenario is just so twisted, and I love it. Imagine if every guy's night out went like this.
Be back later, honey. I promised the guys I'd meet them for lunch and talk about our plans to ruin Rabbit Luigi's life.
Okay, sweetie, just make sure you take your keys. What was that?
Have you ever wondered what it'd look like if Mother
Metroid.
Brain possessed a piranha plant and held a botanist at gunpoint to feed it human flesh?
Oh,
Try
wow, we're
Little
good.
Shop of
Yeah,
Horrors.
okay.
Yes, it's horror, but it's
Now,
also
I've
a comedy classic
seen this
turned
one.
musical featuring Audrey 2, the staple man-eating plant monster who'd come to inspire the infamous gaming
What's the original
flytrap
comedy
we know
exactly?
and love today.
Love being a little bit relative.
Beyond the 1960s
I mean, I guess
original
sort of.
version, most adaptations from there on, film and theater alike, took a musical-driven direction. Audrey 2 has a couple of remarkable songs performed by the late Levy Stubbs. Feed Me Seymour is fun, and Mean Green Mother from Outer Space is freaking dark. But in my opinion, by far the catchiest song of them all belongs to the secondary villain, the human Audrey's
Okay, yeah, good point. Good,
emotionally
yeah.
abusive boyfriend,
Fair enough.
Orin Scrivello, better known as
Definitely not the main villain, but
Orin is a
this is a villain
man
song.
with simple desires. He lives to hurt people
And a great
because
song.
it brings him joy. His mother, being the supportive parent she is, suggests that he take the mantle of a dentist. And why wouldn't he? Getting to legally torture his patients with access to all sorts of medical equipment is practically a dream come true for him.
You'll be a dentist. You have a talent for causing pain.
In the film, Steve Martin takes on the challenge of this role, and he
Great
pulls off
casting.
both a great performance and convincing appearance of a deranged odontologist. The intently pretentious Elvis hair and leather jacket wonderfully captures the aura of a smug psychopath. Couple that with a great maniacal laugh and the ease in which he can yank off dolls' heads, and you have a recipe for a masterpiece. The song goes through vehement detail describing Orin's gratuitous pleasures through his work. All the while, the tone is set by the booming vocals and radiant instruments, ironically giving off this cynically cheerful vibe, courtesy of the movie's Greek chorus of Cristo, Ronette, and Chiffon.
Here he is, Rose, the leader of the black. Watch him suck a black ass. Oh my God. He is the
The song doesn't really have a deeper meaning to it. Orin himself is just Audrey's awful boyfriend whose abusive nature is meant to motivate Seymour to feel justified in killing him for plant food. Still, Dentist is such an entertaining villain song that it even makes a simple character stand out hilariously.
Although being played by Steve Martin certainly helps.
Stop me if you've heard this one. Two morally corrupt schmoes walk into a
okay, yes.
barber shop. One is the titular demon barber,
Another favorite of mine.
embittered by his obsession with vengeance. The other is the
Which song,
judge who
though?
ruined his life in the
Oh.
worst, most disgusting possible
This
way.
one.
False imprisonment, violating his wife and driving her to insanity and homelessness, stealing and grooming his daughter.
Okay, yeah. By this point in the story, Todd could be argued to be an anti-hero, or villain protagonist, whatever you want to call it. And he really hasn't done anything that bad yet. Sure, he's killed a guy, but that could be argued self-defense. And the guys he's going after are a lot worse than he is. Yeah, we're rooting for him.
Yeah, we are.
Put them in a room together,
Definitely.
and one of them at the total mercy of the other, and what happens?
But first I think a shame.
The closest I ever
Tension. Beautiful, agonizing tension. At this point, Judge Turpin doesn't know that Sweeney Todd is really Benjamin Barker, the man he destroyed, and starts boasting about how he plans to marry the underage daughter he stole from Barker. Todd is more than ready to snuff out the despicable judge by luring him into a false sense of security with a somewhat innocent conversation, and then giving him a really close shave. Unfortunately for the vengeful barber, he gets jock-blocked in the end before he can do the deed.
Oh, come on!
This song is nothing but beautifully twisted. The music is mysterious and wistful, while you can feel the burning hatred Todd feels for this detestable creature that royally screwed him over. The atmosphere is incredibly tense and it's actually kind of frightening to watch, because you can't help but think, is he actually gonna do it? When is he gonna do it? What's gonna happen afterwards?
Revenge can't be taken in.
Make haste, and if we wed, you'll be commended, sir.
My lord.
And the judge, through all of this, is blissfully unaware that his life is in danger. As I said, it's all a beautifully tense sequence from a wonderfully morbid musical. Also, while the Broadway version is usually superior, I would still definitely recommend watching the version from Tim Burton's film adaptation.
Yeah, I love the film. That's the only version I've heard.
Brickmen bounce off each other for the song.
It's
really
great.
Highlights the intensity of the situation.
Try Type-Free and Gentle.
Great movie.
No irritating residues, no dyes, no perfumes. When you're looking for a detergent for sensitive skin, Tide's the answer.
Case closed.
Tide, the #1 trusted detergent brand for sensitive skin.
Right, let's look at this. Is it supposed to be overlapped like that? I guess this is, this is the song name and the musical name. You Got Trouble, that's a good one. Love the Music Man. Okay, yeah, the producer is good. Not a ton that I've actually seen. I didn't even know there was a Jekyll and Hyde musical. I mean, there's a musical for everything. Veruca's Nutcracker Suite, huh? What's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory musical? Like, I mean, the film's obviously a musical film, but was there like a theater musical? I didn't know that. I mean, obviously, when you have a successful film musical, I guess it's only a matter of time before it gets made into a... yeah. And, interesting that it was the interstitial song, but didn't actually make the list for the Chicago one. Okay.
Les Misérables is a book-turned musical.
Okay.
What time is this now? Anyways, it's a musical that originally premiered in 1980 starring Jean Valjean, a French peasant who recently was released from prison, and his tale of redemption. While there really isn't a main villain per se in this story, there are many evil or...
Again, I've not actually seen it, but I've heard some of the songs.
Each get some good songs. Stars, for instance, is a beautiful statement of purpose sung by Javert, a well-intentioned man who unfortunately conflates law with good and single-mindedly pursues it. It's an amazing aria that brings tears to the eyes of those who hear it, and it's a great villain song.
We gotta go with Master of the House.
Okay, yes.
Act 1.
Yeah, this one I know.
For the daughter
This song's
of
great.
Fontaine, whom he promised he would look after as her mother lay dying.
Funny villain songs often are better than the serious ones.
Fontaine had to leave Cosette in the care of an innkeeper couple, the Thénardiers, a husband and wife pair who appear friendly on the surface but are actually, well, schemers who not only lie to Fontaine to make her send more money and work herself literally to death, but scam and loot their patrons too. And they don't really hide it that well. The Thénardiers use Cosette as free labor, spoil their own daughter Eponine, and run every crooked play in the book to keep up their lavish lifestyle. And the song Master of the House shows us just how the Thénardiers do business.
Seldom do you see honest men like me
A gent of good intent, who's content to be.
Monsieur Thénardier sings the majority of the song, and he acts all pleasant towards his new guests, but in actuality, he steals their belongings, gives them to his wife and daughter to hide, and overcharges for very petty things.
Charging for the lice, extra for the mice, 2% for looking in the mirror twice. Here a little slice, there a little cat, 3% for sleeping with a window flat.
And here we thought charging $8 for a bottle of water was bad.
While he's pretty blunt,
well, it is,
his
but
normal patrons still see him in a rose-tinted and possibly super drunk light. Unfortunately for his customers, he does a bit more than just steal from them. And it's friggin' hilarious how awful he is.
Food beyond compare, food beyond belief. Mix it in a mixer and pretend it's kidney of a horse, liver of a cat, filling up the sausages with this and that.
You donkey!
His wife also gets a few lines here, and she isn't as kind as her patrons are about her husband's antics.
Master of the house isn't worth my spit. Comforter, philosopher, and lifelong
Yay!
cunning little brain, regular Voltaire. Thinks he's quite a lover, but there's no...
Of course, despite saying this, she still uses this opportunity to steal from whoever she is singing to and give it to her husband. Guess they're still good together, huh? In a way. The song ends with the monsieur riling up the crowd and his wife pretty much singing that he's full of it. The Thénardiers aren't really major antagonists in the wide scope of the story, but their scheming ways and impact on Cosette, Fantine, and Valjean do make them villains for the purpose of this list. Of course, the main reason this song is number one is just a combination of catchy, carousing,
it's just a good song.
It describes the Thénardiers, and the fact that, despite how blatant their actions are, they still get away with their BS. Heck, they even wind up rich and influential in the reprise.
When the wind is blowing, money's a stuffy smell. And when the richest Jesus, when we see you all in hell.
I think Fire Joke. And
I don't think I've heard that part. That's great. Ah.
Hey everyone, this is Josh. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the video around. Please check out my other social media like my Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr. Check out my other channels such as Joshua Burner for reactions and other stuff, Dragon Fighter Gaming for tabletop, and Bob Equestria for cartoons. Consider checking below the video and donating to my Patreon, Streamlabs for my merchandise, or becoming a YouTube member. Thanks for watching.
Alright, well there we go. Yeah, that was cool, and I like that. I mean, towards the top I actually knew more stuff, which is interesting. Yeah, seemed like a pretty good list. I mean, even the ones that I hadn't heard before, like, when he played them, they sounded good. So, I think, I mean, I don't know. At least as far as I'm concerned, this seems, like a well thought out list of songs. Yeah, and of course, Josh did a good job presenting it, and, it was entertaining. So, what more could you want from a video like this? Anyway, I hope you guys liked the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next.